working with Bill? Like, was there? So you got, as you said, you have gotten yourself, obviously, whether it was people coming after you and kind of bouncing back from that, and is that, and I know that I'm sure at times, especially when you're in that storm, that it's hard to find work and it's hard for people who want to take meetings with you. Like,
Yeah.
how long does it take before like are there any hesitations? It doesn't seem like it with Bill, but he's more so. It seems like he approached you, so he's more like let's do this. Let's and if there is, because you're not someone that holds back, you're going to speak your mind. Is there
Yeah.
ever a conversation where he says, well, it doesn't seem like this is something he's going to say, but if there's ever a conversation of like, look, there are certain things we stay away from, or just like just gloves off, do what you got to do.
He gives 0 fucks.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah.
And his team, so there's Chris Case and Chuck Labella who run Club Random Studios. And I just did a podcast with a world-renowned gastroenterologist named Dr. Sabine Hazen. And she was one of the doctors whose research was silenced during COVID. And I've been talking to Dr. Hazen for years
Hmm.
because I do a health podcast and she wrote a book about the microbiome and she's one of the best. So we've gone back and forth for years. And the long and the short of it is, she put forward a hypothesis about ivermectin mitigating the severity of COVID, and then she looked at the vaccine and its impact on microbiome, blah, blah, blah. And she went through hell and she was silenced. And ironically, Mark Zuckerberg just came out and said, yeah, we silenced all these doctors and all these people talking about COVID. I had no choice. The week that episode dropped. So I called Chris at Club Random and I was like, listen, this is going to say ivermectin, COVID, hydrochloroquine, vax injury. Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, I don't give a shit. Go. He goes, if anything, I'll just go to Bill and say, let's move to Substack. Like, are you serious?
Wow. I mean,
Are you sure? And he's like, do it. So I did. And, we're still standing. Everybody's still alive. The show's doing great. But I think he's that much more seasoned. And he's also a gazillionaire. He just doesn't give a
he
fuck.
doesn't
He
give a
really
shit. Yeah, he
doesn't.
doesn't give a shit.
Not about being canceled or having somebody go after him. In my experience with Bill,
Yeah.
he cares deeply about his work. And he cares deeply about his messages, like anti-woke liberalism, engaging in conversations, all the things we talked about earlier. But I don't think he's afraid of anything. I
Doesn't
really
seem like
don't.
that now, because he even went, because he's changed kind of. I've never, because truth be told, I mean, like, as far as I respect him as far as what he's done with his career. There are some times that I disagree with him all of the
Of
time.
course. Yeah.
But there are times that and I'll see him on, there's certain times, like that's why I said to you earlier, there was something, because I also deal in like the movie space and the kind of geek space and that stuff too. And he had made comments about comic book movies and certain things that he said where to me, it felt like he was kind of insulting the people who worked on them and talking about how they were just meant for children and these certain things. And he knows sometimes to put his hands up, and he keeps punching in your face, even though you're like, well, wait a minute, hold on. He does. That's what he does. He knows to do
He
that because he also
does.
knows he's going to get
He
himself.
does, yeah,
Yeah.
and he'll, like I have seen him say that this is out of my wheelhouse entirely, but I remember when he had been commenting that crypto was just a Ponzi scheme, and I thought he really should talk to, like, Charles Hoskins,
Right.
'cause, it's a tech, actually, and it's kinda brilliant, and they're doing pretty impressive stuff with it. It isn't about Dogecoin. There's so much more to it, but I didn't challenge him on that because 'cause I'm not the one to do so. Maybe one of the Winklevoss twins will do it down the road. Sure, he's not a genius about everything, and you're right, I disagree with him and in fact disagreed with him on numerous things. But the fact that he's like, and this is why, we have this conversation and we
Right.
can still be friends even though we don't agree. And I think that's what people love about him ultimately is you can challenge him, he can challenge you. Doesn't take any of it personally. Uh, and he's anti-cancel culture at a time where being anti-cancel culture gets you canceled. And he's been doing it since the beginning, fearlessly. Him
Well,
and Rogan, I think.